So you're thinking about protesting your property taxes? I recommend it almost every year. Ultimately, taxes are part of the system. We need to pay for things that need to be paid for, but none of us wants to pay more than what is appropriate or what is fair. Now, the valuation style of how a tax assessor is going to value your property is a little bit different than a normal resale value. We have another video about that. Go check it out. But ultimately, they're putting blanket valuations on entire areas, whereas when a resale scenario, we're valuing one property compared to another and how they sold. So here's the deal. You need to gather data that supports the value that you believe is accurate for your property. That might be comparing your property to the tax value of another property. You might literally go to the taxing authority and say, well, you value this one at this, and my property is similar to that. Mine should be valued like that. The other thing you can do that's actually really interesting is even though the tax assessment is one type of valuation and resale valuation is another type of valuation, sometimes we do need to bridge that gap a little bit. We want to be careful, but sometimes we need to go over here and say, hey, my neighbor's home sold for less. My home should therefore be valued less because they're similar in these ways. So we do sometimes want to tell them to use a resale valuation approach. But generally speaking, they don't do that and won't do that and can't do that from their valuation side because they need to value thousands and thousands and thousands of properties, especially in these bigger communities. And they're not going to do individual analyses. They're basically saying that whole area comes up, that whole area stays flat. And then there's some nuance on your property condition. Is it very good, good, fair, or poor? Usually are the ratings. So knowing that, you get the assessment from them and you're like, whoa, that's crazy high. I don't think that's right. I don't think my house is worth that. Let me go pull data to prove that. Now you can do that on your own. I recommend if you have a trusted real estate professional, you can have them pull some sale data for you or even some tax data for you. And a nice thing to have them add is a value opinion letter, or what I call a professional opinion letter. So they could write a letter that says, based on my professional analysis, based on this data, I do not think the property should be valued here. I think it should be valued there. Now, I would only ask someone to do that you've done business with or you're doing business with. That's actually a lot of work for someone to do for you for nothing. Some agents will charge to do that. There's a lot of ways to do it, but that's part of the process that can help you have a more authoritative argument. Now, how do you submit that data? That's different for every tax assessor. Call them, go online. If they have a website, there's usually a form. It's actually not terribly difficult to do. If they require a hearing, make sure you can attend that hearing. Don't go in there just saying what you want. You need to be able to document that with either recent sales data or other tax assessments. You might want to be arguing on accuracy. They might say you have a backyard shed that's been gone for years. They might say you have more square footage than you actually do. You would need to prove that with documentation. Sometimes they'll be like, oh, we didn't know that. Thanks for the help. We fixed it. But you do need to be able to state your case, support it, and do it in a respectful manner. If you come in with your big political argument that they're jerks and they're taking money, you're not as likely to be successful. The other thing you can do quickly is hire a third-party service to do this for you. And typically they only get paid if they save you money and they get a percentage of the savings. So that's something to think about as well. Again, process is a little different with each assessor. Call them, find their website, fill out the appropriate form, go to whatever hearing is needed. If you protest ethically, you'll be successful some of the time is about all I can say. Honestly, when the market's hot, sometimes your property is just worth more than you like, and it is, based on the law, fair for you to pay more. Without getting into way more nuance, that's what you need to know. Go protect yourself and your value. You're not always going to win, but if you do a really good job and you work a little bit at this, you'll have a higher success rate.